Okay. Hello? Is this working? I don't know. It said it wasn't available, but it looks like it's working. Is this going? I don't know, gang. Well, keep our fingers crossed. I hope this is working. Welcome to Houdini Secrets. I'm Chris. I am your host for Houdini Secrets Live. And this Friday, we are about to embark on something that is, in my opinion, kind of frivolous. Now, I mean frivolous because for me, it's just a lot of fun. And I don't know that a lot of people are doing it out there. But you know what? I really enjoy it. But as I was getting ready for today's lecture, I realized that I have to do something ahead of time in order to create a comparison and contrast. Let me see if I can pull up my PowerPoint presentation slide here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so according to this, oh yeah. Okay, let's see if this comes up. Okay, it looks like we've got a disclaimer coming up, but okay, let me pull this over here, lecture logo deck. Okay, that's not going to be it. Oh, that's it. Okay. All right, great. Let me get going here. But anyway, today's lecture is going to be very impractical. And why is it impractical, you might ask? Well, it's because there's a much better way of doing it. Well, actually, it's not today's lecture. It'll be next week's lecture, and I'm going to show you why it's impractical. And we will cover over the why it's impractical. We're going to cover that today, and we're going to go over that why we should that. But the overall aspect is what we're presenting at this week and next week are just really good, useful skills. They'll help you with your Houdini, not necessarily directly with it, but the side skills that I'm using are overall just good skills to have. And also, because this involves the character animation, for me, it's a little bit of posterity. Once, a long time ago, I used to be a keyframe animator. When I started in this industry a million years ago, and I still have a love for animation. And so for me, working with character animation in Houdini is just a buttload of fun. And I love to play with chops in animation. And to me, that I'm just like wallowing like a pig in mud on this. I just can't get enough of it. And so going through these lectures help me remember what all the skills are and before they actually go away, because I heard that Houdini is thinking of coming up with in their new version some kind of character animation tools, and I have no idea what that means or what that's going to involve or what that is all going to deal with. But it might mean the chops might go away bye-bye, and which is too bad because I really love chops. But it's if it does stick around, I want to have a future reference so that I will remember what all is going on here. So what we're going to be doing this week and next week are dealing with Mixamo characters. We're going to go to Mixamo, we're going to take that character, we're going to pop it into Houdini, and then from Houdini, we're going to drive it into UE4, and we're going to use VAT on to do this. And we're going to use two different methods. And why? Why? Because going crowds into UE4 is a really cool thing. Now, crowds going into UE5 might be a cool thing too, but I'm daggone it, I'm driven to try to figure out this crowds in UE4. I talked with Luis about this, and at this moment in time, he knows of no way of actually pulling off crowds into UE4. And I haven't yet played with Niagara yet as far as this. And so there's two kind of approaches. One might be Niagara. Maybe it'll work, maybe not. If somebody wants to know that it's not going to work, please tell me ahead of time that you say, hey, this ain't going to work. And otherwise, I might have to write an instancer where it will instance a character or a static mesh object on top of a point inside UE4. And I'm not afraid of doing that. It's just going to take a little bit of time. And I was hoping on trying to get this in for my book, but I just might not have enough time to do this. Okay, the second reason why I'm doing this is because this might be a way for creating high fidelity character animation inside UE4. Not just any kind of character that you can get in. If you notice that in the game world, there's only one deformer, and that's the basic sock deformer. That's it. That's all you got. No more. Het Roy. That's it. No mas. But inside of Houdini and Maya and all these other packages, you got all these kind of fancy deformers and so forth. So you're going to end up with really awesome stuff. So I want to try to figure out how to get more of that high fidelity character animation into UE4. And I know that they're doing awesome work over at Digital Domain. You guys rock. What can I say? But I don't have the resources that you guys have, and it's just me trying to figure it out all by my littleness. And so all I can say is, Doug, Robo, and gang, you guys are rocking it. You guys keep on doing a great job. I'm totally green envious with what you're doing here, and I got to try to figure out how to do that myself. But I myself feel compelled to try to figure out a good high fidelity character pipeline inside UE4. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is kind of caring about some kind of like old school versus new school. And the old school is Chops. Now, Chops to me is just a hell of a lot of fun, but nobody uses Chops anymore, I guess, but just too bad because I really think it's like one of Houdini's most powerful elements. And now the new school is the thing called the agent node. Now, I guess it's not really that old. But I'm really old, so for me, it's relatively new. But the advantages of working with the agent node are that it's quick and fast, and you know the gotchas are fewer and further between because the agent node takes care of most of the gotchas for you. But it's not perfect. And the cons is that it's no control, meaning that it's a black box. You don't know what it's doing underneath the hood, and if there's ever a problem, yeah, you're stuck with it. If you get what you get what you get. Unless you have got a contract with side effects and say, hey, side effects, how about changing this new aspect on this agent node, they're probably not going to run off and get it to you. Unless you're a high-paying client, they're probably not going to do it that fast. But anyway, what are the advantages of doing with Chops? Is that you've got total control, because you're dealing with the character, you're dealing with the skeleton, you're dealing with everything. You got total control, and you can deal with any kind of character, and then you can mix and match and deal with any kind of character and any kind of character clip that you want, and you can kind of mix things inside of Houdini, and so you're not reliant entirely on the agent node. Now, the agent node, you can do some mixing and matching and so forth, but I never learned crowds in Houdini, so I don't know how to do that, and I'd have to spend time to learning it. And I'm going to spend time learning it, how to do it soon, but needless to say, old dogs like their chops, and so this dog likes his chops. And the cons is that it's slow and cumbersome, and there are gotchas, I have to admit. So what we're going to do is this week, I'm going to show you how to use VAT in order to export a character from Mixamo and get it into UE4. And then next week, I'm going to show you how to do the same thing, but instead of using the agent node, we are going to use Chops. Okay, with that said, let's get the show on the road and let's get going. I need to set things up a little bit and move things around. Okay, good. Hey, we are in Houdini, and that means it is time to get naked. Doing Houdini naked. Now, the only reason why I'm getting naked here, folks, is because it is like 100 degrees in my bedroom, and my wife doesn't like air conditioning, so aha, much better. And so, good. Now, in order to get things going, what we have to do is get up my notes. That's what I need to do. All right. And then what we're going to do is create a brand new project. All right. Set new project. And we got this here. And I'm going to navigate to the location of where my projects are. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, broadcast, Houdini Live. Okay, there's my folder. And my project's name is going to be, let's call it Mixamo Chops. Oh, look at that. Oh, upside down. Mixamo Chops. Oh, one extra thing. Make sure if for this custom account or for this new project, create two new custom nodes. First, create one for character. We're going to use that next week, but we're going to get into this now. And for this other one, call it clips. All right, cool. Now we've got that going. Let's head on over to Mixamo. Now, Mixamo is a product that was bought out by Adobe a few years ago, and they offer some really cool stuff. And if you're just doing some kind of development stuff and you're just doing some testing, then these Mixamo characters are actually pretty darn good to use around. Now, you can choose any one of these characters that you want. And for this case, I'm going to use the excuse me. And for this case, I'm just going to use the dummy character. And the dummy character is, there it is, dummy character. So I'm going to press that and you say, yes, use this character. And there's my dummy. So I sound like Fred Sanford talking about his son, Lamont. Yeah, you big dummy. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to use, but you can use any character that you want. And I'm just using dummy because he's nice and simple. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit download, and we're going to say download, we're going to FBX, and then we're going to say with skin, and I say, wait, this is, I'm going to cancel because I'm in the wrong mode here, because this is in the animation download. So let's see if I do another character, use that, does this change things around? Okay, yeah, that changes things. All right, let me go back to my character. All right, dummy. Yeah, use this dummy. All right, there we are, dummy. Download. No, 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 no. Okay, it's not allowing me to do this, but let's just say if we wanted Joe. Yes, let's say we have Joe here. Okay, you can use dummy, you can use Joe, but I'm going to do is hokey pokey on Joe. I don't want hokey pokey on Joe. Daggone it. Ah, all right. Let me see if I just get out of this site whatsoever and just go back into it and start over for fresh. I go Mixamo.com. All right. Do we have character? All right, there we go. There's Joe. There's Josh. All these lovely guys. But I want the big old dummy. There you go, dummy. Okay, now this week we are actually going to use this output. So if we hit download, aha, there we go. Format, FBX, we want FBX. And the T-pose, we want T-pose. So go ahead and hit download for that. Okay, so it's going to prepare and do that. We are not going to actually use the contents of this character this week. Next week, however, when we do chops, we are definitely going to. And this is going to, I'm going to let this percolate for a while, but let's go take a look at the animations. Now, for your character, you can download all of these various animations, and Mixamo really has a lot of good animations to choose from. But you got to remember that we are working with the 60 frames a second because we're working with games and so forth. And so therefore, what we're going to do is we are going to download, um, let's see. Okay, so for the skin, let's see for dancing. Dancing, dance. There we go. Choose dance in the filter. And what I want to use is the hokey pokey. Okay, where is it? Because I know the hokey pokey is going to work, and I've gone through this a couple times. And I can't find it, so I am going to type in hokey pokey. Hokey pokey, there we go. If we click that, there we have our character doing the hokey pokey. Notice that there's 350 frames here. That's an important factor is because we're going to want this at 60 frames a second, and since most animation systems are animating at 30 frames a second, we got to double our frame setup here. So let's go ahead and download this. We're going to download this, and we're going to say the FBX skin, we're going to want with skin, frames per second, change that to 60, and keyframe reduction, we want none. Just leave that as is and hit download. All right. Now, we've got this going. What I want to do is download one more clip. And this clip is, I want to use as a zombie run. So I'm going to just type in the word zombie here. And let's see what it comes up with. Okay, zombie. Okay, so the zombie run isn't there. So let's look up run. Is zombie run here? Oh. Okay, now let's look up run. Too many filters. Zombie run, look at this. Here we go. Now that's what I want. Oh, look at that. That's awesome. Look at that epic, look at that epic run. Okay, let's go ahead and download that. For this, keep it at FBX, but with this, say without skin. See, if you're going to use the agent node, then you would download a character, or you would download just the clip, and then you'd export it with the skin. However, if you're using Chops, then you got to download just the character, and then you download the clip, but the clip is without the skin. Now, it's still at 60 frames a second, and you're going to keep the keyframe reduction at none, but make sure to do the zombie run without skin. So that's one of the things that I like about using the Chops is that you've got total control. And if you're a control freak like myself, then Chops affords you the ability to have as much control as you could possibly handle. And it offers, it's all right there, and then you can do a lot of things with it. But if you're in a hurry, or if you're really impatient, or you think that this whole CGI business is should be much easier, then the agent node is definitely for you. And I would highly advise most people to use the agent node when first playing it. But let's get things going. And so what I'm going to do is go to my downloads folder, and there's my characters. And there's a zombie run and hokey pokey and my CH32 non-PBR. That is for the dummy character. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this guy. And then I'm going to go to my project folder. Houdini Mixamo Chops, and then inside my character, I'm going to drop that in here, and it's going to be right in there, ready for us next weekend to use. All right, and now I'm going to grab my zombie run and hokey pokey. I'm going to hit Control C, kind of copy those, and then I'm going to go back to my folder, and I'm going to look for clips. There's where I'm going to store my animation clips. Now, the hokey pokey has skin on it, so I'm going to rename the hokey pokey. So it'll be hokey pokey skin. So I know next time of which clips have skin and which don't. Notice also that the one with skin is much, much, much bigger. It's about 4,000 times bigger than the animation, which might be a consideration if you are dealing with a lot of animation. You don't want to do, if you just want to deal with the motion, then you might want to deal with just the chops. Once again, one of those little things, one of those little gotchas that somehow doing things the long way is actually doing things the short way. But anyway, zombie run, I'm going to change that to skin, and we should be good to go. All right. Now, with that said, let's get going and go into the project. So let's go into the new school method. And so let's first go down, and then if we've got a brand new scene, a brand new project. Let's go ahead and throw down a geometry node. And I'm going to call this Agent Dummy. The ghost of Sanford and Son is raging through my head. Okay, let's go dropping into Agent Dummy. All right, the first thing to do, what do? You lay down an agent node. All right, I'm going to just say dummy in. All right, we got dummy in. So let's take a look at the parameters on this. Now, this agent SOP, it's really, kind of amazing of everything it has. It's kind of like, it's got like everything but the kitchen sink in here. And honestly, I've just started working with it while preparing for this lecture. And it's a good tool. But you start it off by where in the input column where it says character rig, change that character rig over to FBX. And then change that FBX file over to, let's say KBB, okay, Houdini Live, Mixamo Chops, and then my clips are stored in there, and we want the Hokey Pokey skin. Go ahead and pull in your skin object. Aha, and there are characters coming in. And it's going to take a little bit of time to go into there. And for the current clip, make sure to pull this down to mixamo.com, and there he is. He is in all the animation glory. And what do we say? There's 350 frames on this guy. Let's double check to make a look at Mixamo. No. I think it was 350 frames. I'm pretty sure it's 350 frames. But let's leave that as is. So we've got that going. We've got the current clip, and we should be good to go. Now, to get this going, what we had to do is change this over to 60 frames a second, because that's what we want to work in. So I'm going to click on this, change this over to 60 frames per second. And then for my end, we want to actually go to 699. Why do you say 699? Well, because there's 350 frames, but that's considering at 30 frames a second. So if we were to double that, go to 60 frames a second, then that would be 700. But in Mixamo, they're doing 1 frame less. So 1 frame less would be 1 to 699. And so let's go with that. And so you're going to hit close, or I'm going to make sure to hit apply and then close. And then let's see if this actually works. Whoa. Okay. I forgot. For this Hokey Pokey, we got to change it to 30 frames a second. It just doesn't like that. Close. Okay. Oops. We're still playing at 60 frames a second, aren't we? Oh, my bad. Change that back to 60 frames a second. I am like smoking crack here today, gang. All right. Now, what I forgot to do is got to press the real-time toggle. There you go. You can press that button and it now plays at real time. It's going to play at 60 frames a second. And there we have our dude. He's doing the Hokey Pokey, and he's doing it all about. All right, he's doing his thing. Woohoo! Okay, thank you, guy. Let's do it again. All right, so we've got our hokey pokey. He's doing it right. And I am going to save this file. Save as, and I'm going to go job. And I'm going to call him agent. Agent hokey. And I'm going to make this version 01. I call it 1.01, 1_1. Okay, Agent Hokey. Very good. Okay, we've got our animation inside of that, and we've got our agent SOP working pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to translate this geometry. Notice that if we click on I here, what do we get? It says there's only one point in there, and there's only one primitive, one vertice, but one packed agent. And you know what, gang? Look at this guy. He is pretty sophisticated. There's a lot of information on here. So that ain't right. You know, he's got a lot more information on here. So let's go ahead there. And what we got to do is the first thing to do is unpack this sucker. So if we click unpack, and click, all right, we can see now the polygons on this guy. There's a lot more information on here. And you see that there are 18,000 points. Okay, that's a lot of points. But, you know, thanks to Luis and all the crew at Side Effects Labs, they can handle it. I know because I've done this before. But what we're dealing with here is still one primitive and one polygon soup. And so there's one more step we need to do is from the unpack, we need to change that over to convert. Because it'll change it all over to polygons. And it looks like it hardly doesn't change anything, but if we look over here in the information, yep, there's about 1,900 points and about 1,900 primitives and about 1,900 polygons. So yep, that is all the information that we need. Okay, and I am going to put an output node onto this because this is all we need. And then I am going to call this one Hokey out. Put the display on there, and I am going to save again. Yes, what you have heard before, I've been having a lot of troubles with my computer, and so things are going not so good. But anyway, so that's why I'm in ultra saving mode right now. So let's return back up to the object level. And next, what we want to try to do is load in Side Effects Labs. Now, for most people, what you have to do is hit the plus, go to shelves, and then move that down. Ooh. Aha, there it is. Side Effects Labs. Go ahead, click that on, and there is Side Effects Labs. And what you need to do is go ahead and even if you haven't done this or you've already done this, this is time to do it again. Go ahead and click Update Tool Self, and then where it says, okay, change it. The release is 553. Now, the more recent version of that has got some pretty cool tools in this, so make sure to unclick that bad boy, hit the release, and it says, wow, 554? Can we actually do that? Ooh, what the hey? Let's give it a try. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's like that's like playing with fire. It says install version release. Okay. Oh, okay. So let's go 554. I'm gonna click update. And so what the Side Effects Lab installer is going to do? It's going to think. It's going to hum. It's going to spit. It's going to gnarl. It's going to whisper. It's going to cook along. And it's going to plug and chug and move back and forth, and it is updating. And what's even gnarly about this is that once we get finished updating the Side Effects Lab, we gotta, you know it, gang, we gotta reboot Houdini. Yes, it is true that I lost the internet. My machine got fried over the weekend, and so I just got it back up and working. So hopefully This is all going, and this is taking an extraordinarily long time. All right, I got a little thing in here. It says Side Effects Labs updated successfully. Please restart Houdini. Yes. Okay. Click OK on that. So what I'm going to do is hit save. And then I'm going to kill Houdini. And then we're going to load Houdini again. And yes, this is a SIG-Win window. I am launching my Houdini from a Unix emulator. And if you're wondering why, contact me. I'll tell you. From the command line. All the cosmic powers of the universe. Itty-bitty living space. Okay. Now I want to go to File. I'm going to go to my set region Mixamo Chops. I'm going to open my job. Agent hotkey. Agent hokey 1. Accept. Discard and open. Okay. We don't need to look at the Python. We're going to need to use Python next week, but this week, not so much. Okay, we got agent dummy. Now, all we're going to do here now is create a ROP node. So lay down a ROP network. And I'm going to type in here 2UE4. Wunderbar. All right, I'm going to drop into there, and then I'm going to drop a VAT node, VAT. Now, I've been saying VAT all day long, and really what VAT stands for is labs, vertex, animation, textures. And you're going to, okay, if you haven't worked with VAT before, this is a really good and useful skill. It's using vertex cache put inside of texture, really powerful stuff. Get to learn how this works. And we've got an error, skipping unrecognized build path. Well, I hope that's not bad. All right, let's see how this for the SIL Stop Path. Well, let's see. Render user interface simple controls. We want that. Start end 699. Render with take main. Okay, main. That's just what we want. Current main. All right. Method, we want it to be soft. Engine UE4, initialize for engine. Okay, that got rid of the error, thank goodness. For the SOP path, so let's go ahead and for the SOP path, let's put in // agent dummy, and then we want hokey out. Okay, now I am in the habit, the old school habit of always using relative pathing for any kind of path. And the reason for that is once you start getting into using digital assets, then digital assets are ultimately defined by everything is relative. And so get into the habit of start using relative paths for everything. It will make your life easy. All right, now we've got all that going. We're going to leave all that. So we're going to turn the normalized data range 0 to 1 space. We're going to leave that on, but pack normals into alpha, we're going to turn that off. Hello. Okay, it's thinking. Okay. Hello, Houdini. Are you awake? So, Houdini must be cooking. Or it's doing something. Or it's not, I'm sure. This is kind of a big clip, and this is a big character, so this is taking a long time. And actually, I made a mistake. We shouldn't be using hokey. Hokey is going to take too long, and hopefully it things get to work out to this, but we're going to have a lot of sitting around time waiting for hokey, because hokey, we should have used something like, I don't know, swing dance or something. That would go much shorter. All right. Hit up. No. Now this is weird. I'm not even getting it. I'm not even getting anything that says that it is. But it's, this is just like dead. Okay, are we getting anything that says that Houdini's even cooking? Yes, it's been cooking for the last 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and we are at frame 660, 670 of 698. Okay, so we're getting there. Okay, we're back into dummy. Okay, go back into the UE4. All right, so we're going to want the normalized data set range to 0 to 1 space, and we're going to want to turn pack normals off. All right, one of the things about this new VAT node is that you can set the various outputs. Now, I like using it for this character has got a lot of information on it. So I'm going to just put this on for 2K. Now you can go all the way up to 9 or 8K, but for this case, we're just going to put this at 2K, so we're going to use a lot. And now for the export for the project, I'm going to go export, and I'm going to call this Agent Hokey. And then I'm going to turn on component, and then I'm going to put Agent Hokey for that. And so we're going to want the geometry, we're going to want the position. We don't need position 2. We're going to need the normal, and we're going to need the color. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And we are cooking again. Ugh. There it goes. I didn't tell you to cook. And so something is telling me that this was a definite mistake using Hokey. So my bad, gang. Hopefully we'll get through this all too. Does anybody know any good jokes? Anybody really into politics? Lots of people are into politics. A lot of you folks are from Hollywood. Folks are really into politics in Hollywood. You know what? It's really weird, I found, is that in Hollywood, everyone's into movies. It's all about the movie business and so forth. You go to someplace like Washington, D.C., everybody's into politics. Everybody's know who's like doing what with what political faction and so forth. And it's weird. It's like kind of like the whole industry shifts over into another perspective. It's bizarre. But it's very cool. Kind of like shows you like different people in different worlds have different values. Okay. That's nice. And we are just cooking along here. We're getting there. We're at frame. We're in the 520s. Okay, we're getting there, folks. What's even going to be horrible is that we haven't even started writing this thing out yet. This is just doing a pre-cook. Okay, we're in the 600s, gang. Isn't this exciting? Almost there. All right. File, hit save. And now let's just go ahead and before we do anything, just hit render. And now it's actually going to start cooking along here. Now this might take up a minute and a half or so, I'm afraid. Now, it took about 2 minutes to pre-process here, but there's a whole bunch of passes in here. Now, this does a lot of compositing, and there's a lot of stuff on here. So kudos, once again, to Luis and the rest of the gang for doing, over at Side Effects Lab, for creating this tool. This is a really, really useful tool. In my humble opinion, using vertex animation is really a super powerful tool, and it doesn't matter whether you're using Houdini, you're using Max, you're using Maya. Get into the habit of using vertex animations because it really helps make your real-time displays work really, really, really powerful because you're doing everything in relative space, meaning that you're no longer using, well, the hard data, you're using relative data, and the relative data actually ends up working much faster and more concisely than anything else. All right. Now we're waiting for this. We might as well just go ahead and pull open an Epic Games browser. And while it's still cooking, go ahead and launch Houdini. And you don't need to launch UE4 engine. And what we're going to, oh, this is going to take a while. But launch the browser and create yourself a brand new UE4 project. Now, you don't have to use a brand new UE4 project. You can use one that exists already. That's fine. Um, just for conciseness, in fact, I'm going to use a project that I created already. And this is like taking forever. We're compositing now. We're getting into 150. And we're at 1% in the compositing. Okay. Okay. Big mistake using Hokey Pokey. Note to self: never use Hokey Pokey again for the rest of my life. I've seen it all just in today, just too much. Wow, check this out. Oh, that was new? Okay, now that was, I don't think I've ever seen this mode before. Okay, okay. Successfully done. Okay, it is done. We are finished. Oh, now, okay, it's now saved. Yes, okay, good. Now, don't close Houdini. Leave it up. You got to leave it up. And the reason for that is because we're not done yet. If you've never used VAT before, again, you're going to find out the reason why. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and let's go ahead and hopefully if you have a UE4 project, go ahead and open up the UE4 project. And since I have one open up already, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Okay, there we go. There's a blank UE4 project. So I'm going to go in and create a new folder here. Wait, oi, oi. Okay, my machine is unhappy. And is it because I have my Epic browser up? Maybe it's just because my machine is just too hot. I hope I don't have to start UE4 over again because it just takes forever to bring my machine up. Come on, go full screen for me. Yes, I created my new scene here called HSL Character Chops. All right, cool. We should be good to go. Now on the content browser, create a brand new folder. Computer. Create a new folder. And come on. I can see that this is not going to go well. My machine is just plugging along like a very old person. New folder. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to name this VAT, Vertex Animation Textures. Okay, I'm going to double click, go into VAT. All right, now we're in VAT. What we're going to do is we're going to load the character in. Okay, now this is super important, gang, because you use the agent node. Every time you come up with a new clip, you have to create, you have to pull in a brand new mesh. So let's check out what was actually exported when we exported from our ROP node. Okay, Mixamo Chops. Okay, I put this in export. It's called Agent Hokey. Okay, it created 3 folders for us: materials, meshes, and textures. And let's check it out. The materials, there's some data there for creating materials. Not much going on there. The meshes, however, if we go inside the meshes, there is an FBX there, and it is fairly large. It's about 8 megs big, and this stores the character in as a static mesh, but this is the first frame of the static mesh. And textures, okay, these have all of the delta information that we're going to use in there. Ooh, we're going to load all this stuff in. Okay, now what we're going to do is first load in the mesh. Go Agent Hokey, Mesh, Open. Okay, leave everything as default and go ahead and click Import All. And it's going to load in our character mesh as a static mesh. All right, double click Agent Hokey Mesh. And there's one thing that we got to do in here, and that is we got to make sure that we got to turn on the high precision textures, the UVs. Okay, we've got the Agent Hokey here. I'm going to get rid of this. All right, now where it says here over in LOD0, use full precision UVs, go ahead and click that. Now, if you click that, it still doesn't take into effect. Now, if you click Save, guess what? It still doesn't take it into effect. Now, if you close the UE4 window with your mesh inside of it, close it, now it's going to ask you, would you like to apply a level of detail change to Agent Hokey Mesh? Now you can say yes. Okay, now it takes it into consideration, and now that full precision UVs takes it. But notice now that when you clicked it, it's unsaved. So go ahead and right click on that thing and just hit save again, and you will save it up again. And so our character is now good to go. Now the next thing we're going to do is load in the 3 textures that were exported. So go up into Agent Hokey, and then there's textures, and there should be 3 EXR textures. There's Agent Hokey color, Agent Hokey normal, and Agent Hokey position. Pull in all 3 of these. Believe it or not, all of our animation is stored in these 3 textures. All right. Now, this process here, what we got to do next has to be done for every one of these textures because this is really important. If you don't know what linear color space is, attend one of my Houdini or attend one of my tech art lectures. It's important for you to understand what linear color space is because these textures coming in here are coming in as color textures, which means is that they're being pulled in an sRGB space. Okay, we need them to be pulled into in linear color space. In other words, where it says compression settings here, where it says HDR, RGB, no sRGB, okay, leave that as is, pull that to vector displacement. And that's going to be RGB 8. And that means is that it's going to be 8 bits of red, green, and blue and alpha disk, and it's going to be in linear space. We need our colors to be in linear space or else this isn't going to work. So hit filter and click nearest. All right, see that process we did? Go ahead, hit save. And now we got to do that all over again for all these other textures. Yes, you know what? This is such a pain in the butt that either next week or the week after, what I'm going to do is show you folks how to create an automatic loader inside UE4 so that it processes and conditions the texture every time we bring it in. Guys, this is really kind of a pain in the butt. All right, we go vector agent Hokey. We want to make sure it says a vector displacement map. That's what we want. And for the filter, we need to choose nearest, not dearest, nearest and dearest. Click save. And look at all this stuff. All right, take a look at this stuff. This is Wild's information, and it says 939. All right, it's the 939 columns and 275 rows. All this color stuff looks like gobbledygook. What these are the deltas. In this case, it's the delta in the normal for every single point. Every single point has a normal associated with it. And so what we're storing here are the changes in the normal on a per frame basis. Every single row is a whole new column, or every single column is a whole new frame. and every single row is an individual point. And so it keeps changing frame after frame after frame, column after column. And then what here are the changes in the normal position on a per frame basis for every one of our points. And we did that. So let's take a look for the last one. This is for the position. Okay, so for the compression setting, make sure to change that to vector displacement. And you see the color shift in there. We want that color shift in there because if it's not shifted, if it's not vector displacement, if it's not linear color, this is not going to work. So on the filter, hit the nearest, click save. Okay. You know, if worse comes to worse, then I will have a lecture on what linear color space is. Linear color space is probably one of the most important things in all of computer graphics, but hardly anyone actually knows what it is. Hopefully, people are becoming more and more literate about linear color space over time, but in the meantime, zealots like me are just going to have to rant and rave. All right, we've got our map in here, so what we are going to do first is create a material function. Why are we going to create a material function? Because the folks over at Side Effects have done a lot of really cool stuff for us, and we're going to take advantage of it. So if you right-click on here, go over to Materials and Textures, go and select Material Function, and call this, I'm going to call this Agent Dummy, and I'm going to call it underscore MF. Agent Dummy MF stands for material function. Okay, double click that. And we're going to go inside of it. Now it's going to be complaining. It says missing function output result. Okay, you're saying fine. Okay, just leave that. Go ahead and delete that node. Yes, delete you. Don't want you. All right. Now click someplace arbitrarily on the screen here. And now where it says exposed to library, go ahead and click that. And then where it says library category, I'm going to go ahead and select agent dummy, because that's going to be my material function. Okay, cool. We've got our material function. We are good to go. Now, this next part, if you've never seen this before, is a really cool thing. And this makes a lot of sense if you know a lot about interfaces and so forth, if you're not prepared to be a little bit wowed. All right, go to Houdini. Oops. Oops, that wasn't good. Cancel. All right. Okay, I'm going to bring up Houdini. Now, pull that up here. Where it says user interface simple, go ahead and change that from simple. Hit the downward arrow. Go to user interface normal. Now, where it says, go over here to where it says sample shader code. Okay, what the side effects gang has done is it created some shader code into you that will make a default material for us, and it will create a default material function for us. But all you do is click this, and so click where it says this little copy soft material function. Go ahead and click that. What that does is it puts it to the buffer. Go back to UE4, and then click inside that window, and then hit Control V. And this is, oh, there it goes. It just popped into place. Okay, isn't this cool? So we just copied this entire material from Houdini and pasted it inside UE4. This is a really cool thing, and this because this is any node-based network is actually just a language. And so what we did was we copied the language from Houdini and pasted it right into UE4, and it executed on the language. You know, isn't tech art wonderful? I love it. All right, now it says here, without one thing, general notes, make sure that the tangent space normals is off, and then you have 5 custom UE channels. It's not talking about this, gang. It's talking about a material function. So what we're going to do is click onto here, save. And we are basically done for this material function. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to just create a brand new material. Click Material. and then I'm going to call it agent underscore hokey underscore M. Okay, so agent hokey M. We got that going here. Now double click into that and open up the material. Okay, now this is where the instructions that the side effects gang was telling us to look at here. Click someplace arbitrary on here, and then in here, I don't know where this is actually stored, so what we have to do is turn on the tangent space normals. All right, go ahead and turn that off. You're never going to miss it, right, gang? And then also what we have to do is notice that it doesn't have any custom material or custom parameters. We need 5 custom parameters. So if you type in custom, number of customized UVs, type in 5. Okay, what that did was that created all these 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 custom UV channels. And that is just what we needed. All right, now what we're going to do is import or include the material function that we created earlier. So I'm going to right click in here and I'm just, oh, look at that, right up top, agent dummy. Agent dummy MF. There's a material function. I'm going to click that and drag it right in there. All right, groovy. Now we're just going to connect everything to their corresponding node here. I'm going to connect color to base color, normal to normal, world offset to world offset, custom UV1 to custom UV1, custom UV2, custom UV3, custom UV4. Okay, now it's giving us an error, not a problem. But to get things going for the speed, what we're going to do is create a scalar parameter. So I'm going to drop in a scalar parameter. And I'm going to rename that bad boy to be speed. I'm going to drop that right in here. All right. Now, where do we get this information? We are going to get this from the textures that we created. So I'm just going to drop this over here. And then I am going to bring in the color, the normal, and the position textures. And drag and drop these right in there. All right. Now, let's see. Which one is this? Okay, I know that's going to be the normal, but I always get my color and my position one incorrect. Okay, so this one is the... Okay, this is one of the positions, so I've got these swapped here. I'm going to move the position up top and the color on the bottom. Okay, these are now texture samples. These need to be texture objects for us to work with them. So right-click on the top of every one of these texture samples and say Convert to Texture Object. And it will convert to a texture object. All right, then connect these to the side. So the top one goes into the position texture. The middle one goes into the normal map. And the bottom one goes into the color map. Now notice that all of the, everything's just disappeared. All the errors go away and we are good to go. So I'm going to click Save and get that going. All right, we've got that going. Okay, very good. Now the last thing to do is we've got a material function, which is good. We can actually reuse that again for any other kind of soft body. We've got the goods. All right, we've got our material, agent hokey material. What we're going to do now is create a material instance of that. So right click on agent hokey M and say create material instance. All right, and I'm going to change the name of that instead of Agent Hokey M to Agent Hokey MI, standing for Material Instance. Okay, double click that. All right, not so bad. We've got Agent Hokey M in here. So what we're going to do now is expose the number of frames, the position min, the position max, the pack normals, and the speed. Now I can tell you right now what we're going to do now is turn off pack normals. Don't need that. Okay, now what we're going to do is where are we going to get these parameters for the number of frames, position min, max, and the speed? Thank you for asking. We are going to get those from Houdini. So I am going to pull up Houdini and say, okay, what we're dealing with here are 698 frames. So I'm going to remember 698 because that's 2 less than 700, ha ha ha. And then I'm going to go back to UE4. And I'm going to type in number of frames, 698. And so for the speed, I'm going to paste what I just copied there, Control V, and there's the speed. All right, cool. Now position min and position max. Okay, this is really cool because these elements are needed here in order to scale the textures into the correct world space location. And this is a really cool thing, but your thing's never going to work unless you get this position min and position max working correctly. So I'm going to go back to Houdini. And so for the position min, I'm going to click on this thing. It's going to copy it to the position min. Go back to UE4 and paste that right in there. And then go back to Houdini and going to get the position max. And click that. Got to drop that into here. All right. And it should just explode into other gunkiness, and then it just moves around here. That is a good sign. This is really good, folks. Go ahead and click save. So it should look like a mutated porcupine that has been radiated to sense hopeless, and then cancer has took in. All right. Now, what we have to do is we've got this thing, and it's moving on its own. Weird, freaky. All right. Go ahead and grab Agent Hokey Mesh and drop that guy in there. Now he's just sitting there all by his lonesomeness. He's not happy because he's not doing anything. So let's go ahead and give this guy a material. So go ahead and grab Agent Hokey underscore MI, the material instance. Go ahead and drop that right into our agent. And so it's going to compile. And we're going to wait for UE4 to finish compiling. And we put it on the wrong darn thing. Oi, Jai, oi. Not. Hit Control Z. Wrong thing. Agent Hokey Mesh. Put this on there. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Okay, there we go. Look at him. There he is, animating in all of his awesome splendidness and his awesomeness. And look at this. I must have done something right because when I was testing this out, the character was going flat as it went around. I do not know what I did right, but this is cool. So we got Agent Hokey. He's doing the hokey pokey, and he's doing the thing right. Now, this is not the texture that we want for our Agent Hokey. And what we'd have to do is export the agent character right, and that's a whole nother process. But what we have here works. And so this is good. And so this is a synopsis of the entire process of exporting a Mixamo character and getting the character to appear in Houdini. And this is all using the agent SOP. Now, this VAT stuff is kind of a long-winded process, but it's good because once we've got it set up, then we don't need to set it up again. So this is good. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save Current. and we should be good to go. All right, gang. Let's see. I would like to try to start going into all of the setup in order to start creating the chops for this, but it's going to take a little bit longer than expected, and I would just rather do it in one fell swoop. So we are going to terminate this Houdini session a little bit early today, and we are going to leave it at that, and we are going to focus on just implementing this into Chops next week. So here's an opportunity. Tell all your friends that if you ever wanted to use Chops, we are going to abuse Chops to no end, and we are going to love it. And what we're going to do is we're going to create some character animation here that's going to be really, really groovy and awesome here. All right. Thank you very much for joining me, folks. Join me next week for another session of Houdini Live, and we'll be dealing with more Houdini Chops. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel on YouTube, and go ahead and subscribe to me on LinkedIn. That's Chris Rhoda, and that is TechArtEDU. And then check me out also on Facebook. That's Chris Rhoda, and we have a separate page in there for the Orlando Houdini Users Group. Oh, daggone it, this is probably the wrong time to do this, so I put it at the end. The first meeting for the Orlando Houdini Users Group has been set. And when is this going to take place? Let me pull up a calendar. All right, it's not going to happen. It's going to happen in 4 weeks. So in 5 weeks, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I believe it's going to take place on either the 11th or the 18th. Okay, so check it out. I will have another announcement here, but I believe it's the 11th. Okay, so we will have our first meeting of the Orlando Houdini Users Group on 11th. Oh, I know how to check this. I've already created an event on my Google Calendar. All right. Okay, it is the 11th. It's going to be at 7 o'clock, and go ahead and then register on the at the Orlando Houdini Users Group meeting, and it will give you the Zoom information for where we're going to meet on Zoom, and it's going to tell you about what to expect to be prepared. So it's going to be 7 o'clock Friday on the 11th for our first ever Orlando Houdini Users Group meeting. So spread the word to everybody. Tell everyone to get their Houdini chops on and get ready to rock and roll. All right, that's what I wanted to cover today. Thank you very much for your patience, and I will see you next week for another session of Houdini Secrets Live.